When I first started The Authentic Voice, I had a very specific picture in my head. I wanted to create a cozy corner where women could finally reclaim their voices and learn to give themselves the same permission slips they'd been handing out to the world for decades. But as I was looking through our subscriber list this week, which has grown from just a dozen people at the start to over 1,100 of you, I noticed something that completely surprised me. There are a lot of men sitting in this library with us. At first, the social worker side of my brain wondered if you had just gotten lost in the internet hallways. But as I started reading your notes and emails, something dawned on me that should have been obvious from the beginning. The exhaustion of carrying a world that expects you to be indestructible doesn't care about gender. Men, I want you to know I see the specific kind of fatigue you carry. So often you're given a blueprint growing up that says your worth is entirely tied to your strength, your silence, and your ability to constantly provide and protect. You're expected to be the anchor. But in my work, I see firsthand that anchors spend their entire lives underwater, holding everything else steady while they drown just a little bit. I know so many of you are balancing a heavy sense of obligation. You're expected to have all the answers when things break, to be the stoic rock when life gets stormy, and to just keep your head down and keep pushing. Even when that path you're on feels miles away from the person you actually want to be. So if you're here because you're just plain tired of being the unbreakable pillar and want permission to be human again, welcome. You're allowed to have passions and interests that are not about being useful or productive. You're allowed to admit that the weight of being a provider is incredibly heavy. And you're allowed to pursue a creative calling or a slower pace of life, even if it doesn't make sense to a world that only values your output. Having you here doesn't change the supportive, close-knit nature of this space. It actually makes it stronger. When we all collectively decide to stop burning ourselves out for everyone else's expectations and start protecting our own well-being, things get a whole lot better for everyone. If you're here because you're looking for your own voice, I'm so incredibly honored to have you at the table. And if you're here to better understand the women in your life, thank you for being someone who cares that deeply. Because I truly believe that your stories and presence are what make this space whole, all I ask is that you just hang out and connect with us. If these weekly thoughts resonate with you, I'd love it if you drop a note in the comments. Your perspective helps us all to see the full, beautiful picture of what it really means to live an authentic life. And before we go, I want to leave you with this week's permission slip. Permission to drop the heavy armor and be yourself for a while. You can find a digital copy of that ticket and all the links in the show notes. If today's episode resonated with you, I'd love for you to subscribe and share it with a woman in your life who is finding her own voice. For more deep dives and to join our community, head over to my Substack, The Authentic Voice. I'm Melissa Ann Palmer, and remember, your voice is the most authentic thing you own. I'll see you next time.